and why we should be so interested in them as a possible alternative to fossil fuels, a little bit about how they work, and also 2 car companies that are working with them as we speak. So as Julia covered in her topic last week on automated cars, we can see that cars are kind of at a crossroads for what's in store for them for the future. There's a lot of innovation going into cars, and so hopefully through this speech I can kind of broaden your understanding of where cars are going to go in the future. So the first car I'm going to talk about is created by BMW. And they're using hydrogen more as a fuel, which is similar to, they're using it similar to how gasoline is used in cars. And so how this works is they separate hydrogen from oxygen, so they're separating water through a process called electrolysis. And once they've received this pure hydrogen, they're actually able to put it back into a combustion engine, similar to how you'd use gas in a car. But the benefits of this is burning hydrogen, that when you're burning an element, the idea is that that element is rapidly combining with oxygen, which in this case the element we're working with is hydrogen. And so when hydrogen rapidly combines with oxygen, you create water. So the only emission this car has is water vapor, or just pure water itself. The next car we're going to look at is created by Toyota. And they're using hydrogen in a slightly different sense. They're using it more as a battery than as an actual fuel source. And so Pop Science in 2015 wrote an article called How It Works, where they describe exactly how Toyota is able to make this possible. And so how this works is they have what's called a fuel cell, which looks similar to the idea of a battery, except that you're using 2 elements instead of charges. And so through this fuel cell, you're able to react hydrogen with oxygen, and through this reaction, the fuel cell generates energy from this reaction and then converts it to electricity, which then can be used for an electric motor. And so Toyota is interested in this over, say, an electric car, because with electric cars, the battery recharge time is much longer than being able to use a fuel cell. And Toyota's car, as of right now, can refill in 3 to 5 minutes, similar to how you'd refill a gas car. It can go for over 400 miles on a tank. So where are these cars today? BMW's plan to have their cars on the road by 2025 was reviewed by The Economist in 2001. And their goal to this task is pretty difficult, just because they have the car built as of right now, but the infrastructure doesn't exist for them to make it applicable to the public. So meaning that there's not enough fuel stations out right now. So mainly BMW is focusing on making this more applicable and building the infrastructure that's necessary. And Toyota has been able to make a lot of progress as of recently with a recent agreement they made with Shell. Dave Leggett in 2017 wrote an article called Shell to Build Hydrogen Stations, which pretty much outlines what the article talks about, which is that by 2020, Shell has agreed to build over 100 hydrogen stations within California, which isn't a huge amount as California is kind of a large state, but they're mainly focusing on the major cities such as San Francisco and LA to build up that infrastructure and make the cars out on the road so that we can progress from there. And so as of today, you can actually see Toyota's hydrogen-powered car on the road. And so to conclude, we've been able to see that through that cars are kind of at a crossroads, and that we can see automation in our near future. We see electric cars on the road today, and now we might even see more hydrogen cars. And so I hope you've gained some insight on how hydrogen can be such a great alternative fuel, as the only emission created is water. And that also manufacturers are working in different ways to create a hydrogen-powered car, through BMW with the fuel they're creating, or Toyota with the hydrogen fuel cell. And so I hope through this speech I've broadened your understanding a little bit on where cars could possibly be headed for the future.